Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Forgotten Gear Restorations. Merry Christmas. Here's a little hot take from last night's work. Just a very shallow assessment of this old 5C3 Deluxe, a 1954, made with 1953 parts. I'm also going to completely replace the speaker cable. We're going to retain the original plug. So thanks for tuning in on this one. And pardon a little whispery undertones. I was trying not to wake anybody up. Bye. All right, I feel like we should kind of get into this together, right? Let's just open her up. And then I got to hit the sack. It's Christmas. Whoa. All right, so pardon the lighting. It's a little direct. I'm working at midnight. And super cool. This little Astron wrapper right here was sitting at the bottom of the chassis over here by V1. And speaking of V1, you can see Lupe's signature there. And then you can see that these were punched for octals, and they put some adapters in there for the 9-pin tubes. So pretty cool. All the caps are original with the exception of that cathode bypass cap there. And then it looks like this might be like, I need to get the date off of it, but like maybe a 60s or 70s era. Ooh, 60s or 70s era cap here, Mallory. So you can see the letters D and B stamped onto these shell casings here. You see that? Right next to the working voltage rating here. You can see dB there, and then also here. And that does match up with those two letters over on the tube chart. What else can I tell you about it? It's going to need a new speaker cable, that's for sure. Let me get you down there. You can see it's just dried to hell. It's cracking. So we'll get a new one in there. No one's seen this for quite some time, I bet. We'll keep the plug end. I have some beautiful cable for this. Actually, I can reuse. I have an old length of lamp cord that I can go ahead and use for this purpose. So that'll be great. Sorry about that hairy hand there. And what else can I show you from in here? The old speaker appears to be original. This is a P12R, which is just, for my taste, a wonderful, wonderful speaker for this circuit here. I'm going to take the chassis out from the cabinet so I can take a peek at the transformers. But otherwise, this is looking like a fun little restoration, and I don't mind the aesthetic condition that it's in. It's just part and parcel of what was going on back in the 60s. People wanted that particular look, so they were painting these things. I always try to save good parts from old things if the owner doesn't want to keep them. And probably one of the best examples would be this late 50s power cord. Super supple. It's just beautiful. super supple. And it's going to be a perfect fit for this. Get to keep the look. So nice to know I got that on hand. Let me get this chassis out. All right, she cleaned up really nicely. So I'm gonna suss out positive and negative terminals here, and we'll get going on that end. And I'll probably just do the speaker cable repair, and then I'll just call it a night. Bye. All right, can we agree that this is super cool? Let's see if I could zoom you in there. So just have a look. Let me get something to point with. At the tip, and you can see it's threaded. Well, if you rotate the barrel counterclockwise, then you can literally get this tip lug to separate from the barrel lug. Super cool construction. And then if you look further this way, you can see it's more oval shaped. And that's where the evidence that they used a tool to snip the length lies. How cool is that? But anyway, here's the new cord. I'm very happy with how this part of the restoration has come. It's so supple. It's like new. And then take a peek over here and you can see I simplified the routing of the wiring compared to where it was prior. So we have a lot of length left to reach the lower portion of the chassis for that plug to seat firmly and not under any tension into that speaker jack. And now I can remove this little positive reference here because I've already sussed all that out, and that's it. So this part of the restoration is done. I'm not going to remove any more of this patina. That's not dust, that's actually a little bit of surface rust and oxidation. So we're going to leave everything else exactly where it is. It's just beautiful and perfect.